Hey everyone, welcome to Stakehouse Community Call number 10. It is good to see everybody here. Today we are actually going to have a little bit of a lighter call, coincidentally because of the Altair fork this morning and a bunch of other things going on, but still some exciting updates for you all. If this is your first time joining, just a little bit about Stakehouse for you. Stakehouse is an extension of the eStaker community that is focused on building tools to lower the technical bar to staking, as well as other tools that promote the health of the beacon chain. I'm joined here by a bunch of friends and people that help make this possible. To name a few, Buddha, Remy, and Mike are always super helpful in organizing this and putting it together. I see a bunch of other friends that have presented in the past. I like Stereum folks, and others. So it's great to see everyone here. Hey, Lansky, James, everyone. So excited to do this. I'm going to talk about a few different exciting things before we actually jump into the official agenda. The agenda will be the same as normal. So we'll jump into multi-client GUI projects in a little bit, talk about some other projects and maybe some new ideas and things like that. But before we do, I just want to point out, for those of you that don't know, I imagine most of you on this call do, the Altair hard fork, which is the first hard fork of the beacon chain, happened this morning. And it went very well overall. So big applause to the dev teams and everybody who put in all the effort there. It's a really exciting milestone to achieve. So just very excited about that. I don't know if anybody has any comments or anything they want to share on Altair. I'll start off by one saying, if you don't know what we're talking about and you're a node operator, you need to upgrade your node ASAP. So if you haven't upgraded your node for Altair and you're watching this, feel free to reach out to me directly or anybody on the eStaker Discord and we can help you out there. But the participation rate actually stayed pretty high through the upgrade. It went from like 99.6 to like, what was it? It dropped down to like 95% or something for a little bit. Does anyone remember? But then it jumped back up.
Yeah, we had different metrics, but I think the common sense was 95%.
Nice. So it sounds, based on the people that I was talking to, it sounds like it was pretty much a complete success so far. And it's exciting to see all that coordination happening and things going smoothly. And to me, that's a pretty good indication for things hopefully going smoothly at the merge with everyone upgrading. That gives me a little bit of a jump off point to sort of talk about kind of what we're working on here at Stakehouse and building these tools. In order to run a solo node at home now, you need to be in charge of upgrading and keeping up on the news and doing everything yourself. And hopefully, once we build a few more of these tools and people are using tools like, more people are using tools like DappNode and Stereum and Wagyu when we launch and Node Factory, maybe a lot of these updates can actually happen automatically for you, or you can configure alerts within your tools that will help you stay up to date on how you can be a responsible node operator. So when we go through upgrades like this, I'm really glad it's going well without tooling, but with even more tooling, I think it'll go even more smoothly and make it easier to operate a node. So it's always exciting for me to see, and sort of keeps me motivated in building some of these tools. One, go ahead, Buddha, you want to jump in?
Oh, I didn't want to say anything related to this. Maybe I did want to just about the rewards. So the rewards for for block rewards went up after Altair. It's like $120 right now for each block, and before Altair it was like I just know it in ETH. It was like 0.005. So more rewards for block rewards now.
That's awesome.
There's a question here in the chat.
Yeah,
I don't want to interrupt you too much there, Colfax, but there's your Uncle Barry's asking if the bomb has been deployed. I'm guessing he's talking about like the bomb being actually delayed. Yeah.
Yeah, so the Ice Age delay was not in this hard fork. That's going to be sometime, I think, in end November or December.
That's on the execution layer, right?
Yeah.
So we hope we answered your question there, your Uncle Barry.
Cool. Thanks for jumping in, Remy. And yeah, please, everybody, feel free to post questions in the Stakehouse channel or in YouTube, and we'll do our best to answer them. And anybody, please feel free to interrupt me and jump in with any questions. Speaking of Altair, I guess, does anybody here want to give just like an overview of some of the other updates that went into the Altair fork?
I think the main thing that changes was for light clients. I think Altair will allow clients to develop light clients, and the other thing was the rewards. That's like a rough overview. I can't talk about the details because I don't know.
Yeah, it makes sense. I think also the penalties for downtime and slashing also went up, but I don't know the exact details there either.
There's Daryl's also asking when rocketpool. So I don't know if we have someone from rocketpool here.
I don't know if we do. I know rocketpool actually will come present at a future meeting, but I saw in their announcements channel, I think the audit is going well, and if I'm remembering correctly, they might be testing a release candidate like on testnets now, but I don't know exactly when the launch will be. Cool. I want to move on to just talk a little bit about Lisbon. So as I mentioned last time, there's Lisbon Blockchain Week happened last week. There's a few different concurrent conferences, one of which was LisCon, then followed by ETH Lisbon. There were tons of side events. I was out there. I know a couple people on here. Lansky, I got the chance to hang out with you. That was a lot of fun. I see you're there. I don't know who else. I don't see anybody else here that I was able to meet out there, but met some of the ChainSafe folks, like the people that are working on Node Factory, Belma and Marin, and a few others. So it was really it was a lot of fun. Spent some time with the SSV folks as well.
Oh.
The event.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, it was great to meet you, Alex. I still thought I was not able to speak before, but yeah, definitely. Sorry to leave you hanging.
All good, man. Yeah, that was the best. And so Lansky was there too, actually. So this SSV event that the Blocks team hosted was quite a lot of fun. That was on, I think, Tuesday night, maybe. There was a panel that Lansky and I participated in alongside a couple other folks talking about the future of staking and the benefits of different strategies for staking. So whether you're staking with a pool or solo staking, which I'm a big fan of, or other things. So I encourage you to check out the recording there if you're interested. It looks like Mike is going to either drop the link to the recording in the Stakehouse channel, and I know we will we'll post a recap on Twitter afterwards. So I encourage checking that out. I also highly encourage going to conferences if you can. This was my sort of second major Ethereum conference, and it was an absolute blast, and it was really fun to meet people in person that I've worked with online for a while. The next major conference that I know of coming up, and please add any others if you guys know them, is ETH Denver in February. And they actually just made an announcement, kind of a cryptic announcement about a potential announcement on November 3rd. And so check out their Twitter account, and maybe they'll be announcing when they're going to release tickets. I imagine it's going to be a hot ticket, so try and snag that early, and hopefully we'll see you in Denver. Moving on to the next topic, I'll jump actually into multi-client GUIs. So I see the Stereum team is here. Do you guys want to kick off on updates for how things are going?
Yeah, sure. Thanks for having us. So we had again on Tuesday, that was yesterday, another update, and we updated a lot of services that we use. This also included Lodestar, which is available again to run with Stereum. We fixed a lot of validator client management, validator keys management bugs, and added an additional security layer. You would need the new launcher. If you already installed the Stereum node, then you would need the new launcher. Just download it again and install it. And I think David has something about our challenge, right?
Great. Oh, hi. Okay. Our challenge, or the registration period of our validator challenge, is still running till the 31st. So if you're running a validator, please sign up. We are using it simultaneously to get some data on what you guys would like to see, what you're running right now, different things. We are going to measure your missed attestations for November. And if you manage to get a perfect score, which is like 0 to 1 missed attestation, you have the chance to win a NFT plus a physical item. I'm going to reveal in 15 days. We are usually collaborating with Austrian artists for that, and I'm still waiting till the physical item is finished. But I know it's, from what I've seen, it looks pretty great. And yeah, that's actually all. I'm gonna post the link in the channel, in the Stakehouse channel on the Altair Stake Discord. So if Remy or anyone else wants to put it into YouTube, please do so. And that's all. Thank you.
Sounds good. Thanks. That's exciting to hear. So yeah, I encourage folks to join the challenge. And that's cool to hear from you guys. Sweet. On to the next team. I see Lansky's on here. I see dapplion just joined as well. Do you guys have anything to share from the DappNode front? Also, kudos to dapplion. Awesome talk in Lisbon about light clients.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, nothing too new. Our efforts to include other clients in DappNode continue, and basically actually during the hackathon in Lisbon, we tried to hack together an alternative to SSV. It has different security assumptions, just a different approach. You should check if you participated in the hackathon. You should check the project called Bubbles for a balanced. I don't know. It was a fun name. It was just basically using BLS DKGs to ensure that there's never a master key for a validator that then can be split, which is the approach that some SSV solutions are using right now. Anyway, that was fun. We might be pursuing that in the future. It also uses the remote signer in order to aggregate signatures that will be in different machines. Anyway, it's just a project that's very at the beginning right now. But I think the interesting thing to update on is, Lion, maybe you can talk a little bit about what we just spoke on, not too much on the DappNode specific side, also on the DappNode inner workings of how it works, but yeah, like a bit the efforts on client diversity on DappNode.
Yeah, sure, no problem. So as you guys know, in DappNode, we really value and want to support and help the non-technical people. So we really need a complete flow without interacting with the CLI at all. I'm actually looking at this spreadsheet and I'm so hyped, so bullish. Like, thank you so much for everyone for pushing these solutions. Really exciting to see anything else that can achieve these goals. So as you guys know, Prism is the only hand that has the UI, and the route that we are actively pursuing now is trying to put this UI in a remote signer. I've tried for so long to put this UI in clients, but it just doesn't work. They don't have the bandwidth. So going to this extra layer might solve the problem. That's the hope, because so far the IP 3030, that's adding support in the validator client to interact with the remote signer, it's getting good adoption, and it looks like it will be adopted by all the clients eventually in a short term, hopefully. So that's the game plan. Jeff did put a tweet, and we already found people that could implement the backend. So on the Stakehouse Web3 signer, that's the most production-ready implementation of a remote signer that at least I would put ton of money in. If you guys know of any other remote signer that's production ready, let us know. But that's the plan. Get a Java guy, implement a backend to do the key management, make it data package. Then that would connect to another packaged Prism, Lighthouse, Teku, Lodestar, Nimbus, you name it. And from that UI, you could easily switch without having to ever have to re-import keys again. So yeah, the end game is really nice, great UX, full safety. That's the plan.
As for remote signers, I think there is from a testant, the Dirk. I don't know if you know about it. I can post it in the Stakehouse channel.
Yeah, please, would love to check it out. Thank you.
Okay, so that goes into some of the updates that I was gonna make, but I'll wait. I'll wait for my turn.
Yeah, sounds good. Why don't I close it up with the multi-client GUIs real quick by talking about Wagyu, and then I'll pass it off to you, James, to talk about that stuff. Some quick but exciting updates from the Wagyu front. Wagyu Keygen alpha testing has been going very well. We got some great feedback. We've implemented most of it, and we are going to be ready for cutting a release and ready for audit by the end of this week. And concurrently, we've also secured an auditor to begin auditing, I believe, on November 8th. So crossing fingers, we haven't officially signed paperwork yet, but the commitment's out there and they're available. So we're super excited to be able to release a mainnet ready, fully audited version of Wagyu Keygen, ready to be integrated and used by anybody ambitiously, but pretty likely by like early mid-December, assuming that they don't have any major changes for us. So we're super excited about that. Excited to work with the auditing team. I actually forgot the name. Remy or Buddha, can you remind me?
It's Hashcloak.
Hashcloak, yes. Hashcloak. So yeah, excited to work with them, and we'll keep you guys posted on how that goes. And not too many updates on the installer right now, but that's it for Keygen. One other thing I just wanted to mention. Once we cut our release, which is what we're going to be putting up for audit, we are going to do another push for some testing through the course of next week before we actually send that release to audit. So we'll be tweeting about that, and then also keeping that form open for any feedback or any bugs. And then after that, we now have the POAP designed, and we'll be sending out the alpha tester POAP. So don't you worry, you guys will get your POAPs for that. And thanks in advance for checking it out. So that's it from the Wagyu front. Why don't I pass it off to James to talk more about what dapplion mentioned and then other efforts on standardized key management APIs.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, Colfax. So in our last call, we started the discussion on Validator API standardization with really the goal, as dapplion mentioned, to provide some sort of other kind of interface for users and developers other than the CLI to interact with the validator client to provide some sort of GUI. Since then, what has happened is with the help of Remy, we've set up a special channel on the Stakehouse Discord and began this discussion among the 5 validator clients. So good news to report is all 5 teams are sort of part of the discussion now. There's been a lot talked about over the last 2 weeks. And so big props to dapplion for essentially pushing this initiative first with the pull request, I'm going to go ahead and paste this. This is the specs for the Validator API. And as soon as I find the Stakehouse channel here, I will be posting that pull request in the Stakehouse channel. This is the proposal from dapplion to have essentially 3 APIs for MVP in order for some sort of GUI to be built in front. And they are to list out the key stores, to import the key stores with slashing protection, and then to delete key stores with exporting slashing protection. So really kept it simple and made sure that this will satisfy the sort of base requirements in order to get someone onboarded into one of these validator clients without having to directly use the CLI. And then things like DappNode can then have other websites for the other validator clients. So a big push from us to try to achieve that. So the discussion has started. As dapplion has mentioned, there's a push solution for the remote signer. So all 5 of the clients are going to be implementing remote signers. Prism has a remote signer, but it's not specific to the Web3 signer. And so all 5 will be integrating Web3 signer into this. The thing about the Web3 signer is it currently does not have these 3 APIs, and that's where dapplion mentioned that maybe another team can work to extend the Web3 signer in order to incorporate this. On the other front, the big discussion has been around incorporating these REST endpoints within the validators themselves. And last time we talked about some of the challenges with this, which includes what do we do about authentication? And if we care about authentication, do we care about authorization? And I want to give big props to Michael Spruill from the Lighthouse team for really pushing on some of this. And so he started with his first sort of POC pull request for the Lighthouse implementation. The other clients are sort of following suit, despite all the busyness around the Altair efforts. Are really great effort from the team, but there's been a lot of discussion on the intricacies of implementing these 3 clients. One area in particular that has been talked a lot about is on the delete aspect. And so there's a lot of key differences amongst these clients and how they deal with the keys, and there's been a lot of questions whether or not the command is atomic or not. For example, if you want to delete your keys and some error happens, to be able to roll back, those kinds of discussions are currently going on. So I'm going to paste another thing in order to try to get our discussions aligned. From the TechU team, Paul Harris has started use cases. So I've pasted the HackMD there. through this process of discussion amongst trying to standardize the validators, we've really discovered that the validators deal with a lot of this very differently. Most validators will persist the keys. Some do not persist the keys, which have implementation differences. And the question is whether or not those implementation differences will affect the standardization of these APIs. So I would say, and this is my opinion right now, that the client teams are more aligned with trying to implement a basic REST API inside of the validator client than it is to align on the remote signer in terms of the current discussions in the chat. And I think a big reason for that is solo stakers not having not having to have the remote signer run locally. Maybe this could be solved on both fronts, to have it solved on the remote signer and also on the locally. But again, just to remind everyone, the goal here is to just provide a separate interface to instead of the CLI to interface with the validator client. So in terms of security and all that, it's still really up to the user to make sure that they use HTTPS, have their certificates set up, all that kind of stuff, if it's really exposed to the outside world. So our MVP is just if we can get it solo. All right, I think that's really the update. There's this discussion is still going on. We aren't particularly aligned yet on when it will be complete. I would say it's still in the early phases, but I do think that all the client teams are involved with the discussion at this point, which is really great. With that, if dapplion wants to chime in, he was the originator of proposals. Go ahead.
So yeah, as you say, it's totally compatible to do this on both the remote signer and the validator client. And to be honest, I only went with the remote signer thing because I was just so done trying to convince the teams to implement it. So I was like, okay, you have done EIP 3030, so now it's my thing to try to find some other team that does the remote signer. But if everyone implements that on the validator client, it's great. One less thing to run, one less thing to worry about. It's way cleaner. But yeah, if you can get non-Prism teams to do this, I would get you a beer when we met.
I don't think the credit really goes to me. Really, on the Lighthouse team, both Paul and Michael on the Lighthouse team have really been pushing hard and taking the initiative, getting some sort of POC out there, something simple. And I think the Teku team, although maybe most of their users are institutions and will use remote signers, they have been very receptive of the of this idea to keep things simple. So there are a couple discrepancies in discussions on especially again the delete function that maybe not all of us are aligned on, and that's okay. So we'll still need to talk through that, but the discussion is underway, and I think most, if not all, client teams are receptive to this idea.
That's awesome to hear, and I'm really glad to see the conversation gaining more momentum. And just big props to you, James, for just having a lot of energy and keeping that conversation going, and dapplion for originating it and now sort of steering things as well. It's been a really vibrant conversation to watch, and I haven't actually been able to keep up with everything that's going on. So I'm glad that you guys are you're able to keep it going and share some updates here. So thanks. If anybody
thanks for
wants to
having
get,
me.
of course, if anybody wants to get involved in that conversation asynchronously, it's happening on the Stakehouse dedicated Discord server. So shoot me a DM or James or dapplion or anyone here, and we can get you an invite to that. And you guys can join the conversation. I'm also super stoked to see so much client team representation in that discussion. So thanks again for everyone. So shifting gears, I want to take a moment to step back from the content of the meeting and talk about the POAP for today's call. We've struggled with some POAP farming that's going on in recent calls, so we have an alternative method to distribute the POAP this time. Remy, can you jump on the mic?
I was just about to tell you that I could start with the POAP distribution. So we have a Google form that will ask you guys to fill out if you want to join in on to this distribution, if you want to get the POAP. I'm gonna paste the link in the Stakehouse channel. I'm gonna paste it in the YouTube chat as well. So you'll have to fill out the form, and you'll have to tell us like what you learned during this call, and you'll have to include also your wallet address, and then we'll be able to either claim it for you or send you a link for you to claim it later. So make sure to fill out this form. We'll obviously only accept honest answers, just so we can avoid like all the farmers, and we know there's a lot of farmers and we have a limited amount of POAPs that we can distribute. So check out the form, fill it out, and you should get your.
Thank you, Remy. So yes, the form is in the channels. I am going to click the link so I can fill it out. Try and fill it out either right now or right after the call, and then we'll distribute it shortly. That's pretty much wraps it up for the main content. I want to open things up to see if there is anybody who wants to share either projects or updates from other things we're working on. And if not, I might want to put dapplion on the spot, if he doesn't mind, to talk about his presentation or Lisbon. But before I do that, does anybody else want to jump in and talk about anything? Cool. Well, dapplion, if you don't mind, do you want to share just like a high-level summary of the talk that you gave in Lisbon?
Yeah, sure. For how long should I go? Yeah, it's going to take a 5 minutes thing.
5 minutes, perfect. Yeah.
Yeah, we should put the video up anyway, so it's a good rewatch later anyway.
I totally agree. Yeah, why don't we find that link and we'll send it out in the recap after this.
Yeah, we haven't uploaded yet, but it should be out soon. But if you want, I can give even like a 1 minute summary.
Yeah, 1 to 5.
Yes, essentially we shared what we have done so far. What's the path forward? So we have taken care of building the consensus client layer. So essentially, I was doing some thought about this. A client is your way to interact with the Ethereum blockchain without running full nodes, and that means that you have to go to user land data. What we have built is a trustless way for you to know what's the head, and essentially, with the merge fork, you would get up to the level of the execution payload, and that would give you a state root of what we consider now just mainnet. This uses a novel mechanism introduced in Altair that makes the thing work, because when we transition to proof of stake, doing the clients are a bit harder, but not with this fork. And now there is a bunch of research to be done and collaboration with different pushes, because we can just do this much up to consensus, Once we solve the problem, now it's up to people like Piper and the Portal Network and other initiatives like this to just tie the whole thing up and go from knowing the head up to user data in a useful way that users can actually use. So yeah, that's a summary.
That's awesome. Yeah, thanks for spending so much time on the research. I think it'll be really impactful going forward. It'll be interesting to see what people do with light clients, and particularly pertinent with the light client support for Altair. So cool to hear about that. Definitely post the link in the Stakehouse channel or send it to me, and we'll tweet it out to the recording once it's available.
Sure, thanks.
Yep. So that pretty much wraps it up for today. I want to mention that we have some exciting stuff on the calendar for next week. I believe we're going to hear from the Ethereum on, sorry, when I say next week, I mean next call, which is in 2 weeks. We're going to hear from the Ethereum on ARM team, as well as get some more updates from the Stereum team, which I won't leak what they're going to talk about, but hopefully we'll hear from them on some more stuff. And we have other exciting updates in the pipeline. We are going to close a little bit early this time to plan ahead. I think next time we'll probably take the full hour, if not spill over a little bit. So just plan ahead for that. And yeah, I just want to say thanks to everyone who came out, and we'll see you in 2 weeks. That's going to be November 10th at the usual time, 3 p.m. UTC.
Thank you, Colfax. Thanks everyone for joining.
Thank you.
Bye everyone. See you next time.
All right, thank you.
See you next time.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone. See you next time.
Bye bye. Until next time.